Hello travelers, I'm Chris, welcome to Lore Spire. In today's video, I'm bringing you an original build guide to build Seelah as a tanky paladin with decent damage and solid survivability. At the end of this video, there is a spreadsheet that breaks down everything in a way that's easy to understand and build from. That spreadsheet section is labeled as Seelah Build Spreadsheet in the timestamps. So obviously, there are timestamps if you want to skip ahead in this video. Now, as you can see here, in this build, all 20 character levels are put into the Paladin class. I'm going to give you a brief summary of the most noteworthy abilities here. Feel free to pause the video to read the abilities in their entirety if you want. This next section of the video is just going to review the Paladin's class abilities. If you need a refresher for this, then feel free to watch it. If you are already familiar with the Paladin's class abilities, then feel free to skip ahead to Chapter 3, which covers Feats. Alright, so Seelah is a Paladin. So of course she gets Smite Evil, which makes her much more effective in combat against evil creatures that she uses this on. And you can see here she gets an additional use of this every 3 levels. It's an extremely effective ability, and you will be using it a lot. She also gets Lay on Hands, which of course allows her to heal herself or allies. Again, if you want to read these abilities in their entirety, please pause the video. Here she also gets Divine Grace, which adds her charisma modifier to saving throws. Very, very important, very helpful. And definitely helps out with Seelah's survivability a lot. At level 3, she gets Aura of Courage, making her immune to fear, and giving her allies a morale bonus to their saving throws against fear. She also gets her first Mercy here, and you can see she gets one of those every 3 levels. And a Mercy basically heals whatever it designates whenever you use your Lay on Hands ability. You also gain Divine Health here, which makes you immune to all diseases, supernatural, magical, mummy rot, all of them. So at level 5, Seelah gets Divine Weapon Bond. Okay, which allows her as a standard action to buff her weapon. Alright, and this will give an enhancement bonus, and that enhancement bonus will increase every 3 levels, as you can see down here. And the number of times you can use it also increases periodically as you gain levels. Okay, and this weapon enhancement will stop once you get to a maximum of 6 here at level 20. Alright, and these bonuses do stack with existing weapon bonuses to a maximum of +5. Okay, so basically if your Divine Weapon Bond gives you +2 to your weapon, and your weapon is already a +2 weapon, that's going to make it a +4 weapon. But if your Divine Bond makes the weapon a +5 weapon, and it's already a +5 weapon, then it's still going to be a +5 weapon. Okay, so that does make it sound like it will stop being useful pretty early. But alternatively, you can add these properties to your weapon: Axiomatic, Brilliant, Energy, Disruption, Flaming Burst, Holy, Keen, and Speed. Now these all have various abilities, doubling the threat range of the weapon, giving you haste while the effect is on the weapon, you know, adding fire damage to the weapon. Anyways, various abilities here, and depending on which ability you use, it will consume more of the weapon enhancement of Divine Bond. So let's say you use the Keen right here. If you use the Keen Divine Weapon Bond, it tells you right there that it consumes 1 point of enhancement bonus. So if you have Divine Weapon Bond +3 and you use this Keen ability, then your Divine Weapon Bond is only going to be adding +2 to your weapon. Alright, and that's kind of how this stays useful. As you gain levels and your weapon bond increases and enhancements, it also gets more and more expensive abilities. Some of these, I believe, cost all the way up to 4 enhancement points. Yeah, so you would only be giving whatever weapon you're using +2, which will still be wasted if you have a +4 or a +5 weapon, which is pretty likely at the end, but at least you are still adding a useful ability from having this. You know, Keen or Speed or Flaming Burst or Holy or whatever you choose. So it does stay relevant throughout the game, I guess is my point here. Next we have Mark of Justice, and this is probably the Paladin's best ability, I guess, besides Smite Evil, since it would be nothing without Smite Evil. But anyways, basically what it does is allows Seelah to put a Mark of Justice on an enemy, and what that does is consume 2 points of your Smite Evil ability, so 2 uses of your Smite Evil ability, but it extends the bonuses of your Smite Evil ability to the entire party. Okay, so that's very much so worth it. In this instance, that would be giving your entire party +6 to their attack rolls, you know, a +6 deflection bonus, and +20 since we're 20th level to all of their damage rolls. Aura of Faith, Seelah gains this at 14th level. This will make your attacks good aligned. Any attack made against an enemy within 10 feet of Seelah is treated as good aligned for the purposes of overcoming damage reduction. So this is going to extend to your allies within 10 feet of you. And of course, this does not function if Seelah is unconscious or dead. Now at 17th level, Seelah gets Aura of Righteousness, which gives her damage resistance 5 except against evil attacks, and immunity to compulsion spells and spell-like abilities, and all allies within 10 feet of her gain a +4 morale bonus on saving throws against compulsion effects. Doesn't function if she's dead or unconscious. Okay, and the last thing here is Holy Champion. This basically gives her a damage resistance of 10 against all damage except evil damage, and it maximizes her channel positive energy and lay on hands, meaning that she'll always heal 60 damage with both. These are all of the feats that Seelah will have at level 20. She begins with the shield focus, dodge, and all of the weapon, armor, and shield proficiency feats that you see here. Starting at level 3 all the way through level 19, we'll take the rest of these feats from the weapon focus all the way up to greater vital strike. We'll take these in the order that they are shown here, with one exception. There seems to be a bug that stops heavy armor focus from showing up here in your feats section. Okay, so you need to take this at level 13. Now, even though it doesn't show up here in your feats section, it will show up in your special abilities section, and you do gain the actual bonuses from it. So don't worry about that. Here it is. Heavy armor focus. Now, I want to give some explanations for my choices here, because you're probably noticing that there aren't a whole lot of what might be considered tank feats, but I assure you that this build has good survivability. We could gain more survivability with feats like Tower Shield Specialist, Back-to-Back, Toughness, Missile Shield, Combat Expertise, and others. But I feel like my feat choices here offer a good enough amount of survivability while allowing Seelah to still do decent damage, certainly more than what most tanks would do. The inclusion of the Vital Strike feats here are what make the extra damage possible. With all 3, you can deal 4 times your weapon damage as a standard action at your full base attack bonus. Since this is only a standard action, you can still use Lay on Hands and a potion to heal Seelah the same turn that you use Vital Strike. And if Seelah needs extra healing on a certain turn, just skip Vital Strike for that turn and use Channel Energy to heal for a 3rd time during Seelah's action phase. Okay, that adds a lot of survivability, 3 heals in 1 turn. And if she doesn't need 3, you just heal twice and you put out a good amount of damage. The last feat here that might need a bit of explanation is Outflank. This is a teamwork feat, and for anyone who isn't aware, teamwork feats require multiple party members to have the same feat for them to function. In my opinion, Outflank is the most important teamwork feat for most parties, and every melee party member should have it, including pets. Just as an FYI, pets need an intelligence score of 3 to gain access to teamwork feats. In this game, it's easy to miss attacks, especially on higher difficulties, and this is one of the best feats to reduce the number of misses that you have in melee combat. Normally, you get a +2 bonus to your attack rolls when 2 or more of your characters are adjacent to an enemy. With Outflank, that bonus is increased to +4 as long as both party members that are flanking the enemy have the Outflank feat. Now for Mythic ranks, you can see here what we are taking at each Mythic rank, which in order is Last Stand, Shield Focus Mythic, Abundant Smite, Dodge Mythic, Unrelenting Assault, Vital Strike Mythic, Leading Strike, Power Attack Mythic, Rupture Restraints, and Mythic Channeling. Last Stand. Once per day when your HP would drop below 0, you become immune to damage that would make you unconscious. This is great for those unexpected crits and bursts of damage that enemies sometimes put out, especially on higher difficulties. Shield Focus Mythic. You add your shield's AC and enhancement bonus to your touch AC. Many enemies use touch attacks in this game, especially demons, and this will allow you to avoid a lot of damage in certain fights. Abundant Smite gives you more uses of your Smite ability, which is always good. You'll get up to 5 uses whenever you are at Mythic rank 10. Dodge Mythic gives you 1 additional AC from your dodge feat. And Unrelenting Assault adds a stacking +2 damage bonus to your attacks as long as you attack each turn. This damage bonus caps at +10. Vital Strike Mythic. This lets you add all damage bonuses that would normally be multiplied on a critical hit to each dice roll Vital Strike gives you. This includes your strength bonus and weapon enhancement bonus. I thought that this would include your Smite Evil bonus as well, but after testing it I found that it does not. Still, this feat should have your greater Vital Strike easily hitting enemies for 150 plus damage per attack. Leading Strike adds a mark to enemies that you hit in combat. The mark is consumed when an ally hits the enemy and adds 1d6 divine damage per mythic rank to your ally's attack. Now this isn't a huge amount of damage, but it is a steady source of damage that adds up. Also, Seelah's Smite Evil ability will add a mark to the enemy so you can smite them and then attack them, consuming the mark and adding extra damage to Seelah's attack. However, I'm unsure if this is a bug that will be patched out or if it is working as intended. Power Attack Mythic increases the damage bonus that using Power Attack adds to your attacks. Rupture Restraints. 3 times per day you automatically dispel any effects from this long list of negative conditions. Several of these are the same effects that your Lay on Hands can heal via the mercies we have chosen. Enemies will use spells and abilities that add these effects to several party members at a time, and this keeps Seelah from being affected by them, which allows her to then heal party members of the effects so that they aren't hampered for extended periods of time. Last, we have Mythic Channeling. There aren't a whole lot of useful Mythic feats left at this point, and the increased healing this gives can add up if you're in a situation that requires you to channel for consecutive turns. Now let's take a look at Seelah's unbuffed stats. I want to point out now that this is just with gear that you can find while running through the main story missions of the game, and stuff that you can buy from vendors. You can definitely get some stats that are higher than what I'm showing you here through the use of buffs and by finding better gear. But even the not too difficult to obtain gear that Seelah is using now in my playthrough is adequate for the build. The one exception to this is the unique Longsword Radiance. I think Radiance fits Seelah really well from a role-playing perspective, and mechanically speaking, it's perfect for this build. You can click the link shown at the top of the video screen now, or down in the description below the video to check out a full guide showing you how to obtain and fully upgrade Radiance to its +6 Holy or Bane Living versions. Obviously, I'm using the Holy version for Seelah here in this build. You can see all of the stats on the page for yourself, so I'm going to just hit the highlights here. Seelah gets 4 attacks, the first of which has a +30 bonus and the last of which has a +15 bonus. Power attack is active here, so these attack bonuses include the -6 to your attack roll that you receive from power attack. Now, if you're having trouble hitting enemies, then congratulations, you must be getting to the later acts of the game while playing on core difficulty. That's no easy feat. Either that or you need a weapon upgrade. Either way, try toggling off power attack against enemies with high armor classes and you should be good to go. Anyways, Seelah should mostly be using Vital Strike to attack with. And attacking with Vital Strike will give you the full +30 bonus when you attack. This doesn't include Smite Evil or spell buffs, which will bring up your attack bonuses even higher. Seelah's damage is 36 to 43, but the use of Smite Evil and Vital Strike will have Seelah dealing about 4 to 5 times this amount in combat. Seelah's crit range is 19 to 20, but don't expect many crits from this build. Also, the extra damage from Vital Strike is not multiplied on a critical hit, so even when you do crit, it won't be for a huge amount. Seelah's armor class here is 49, which is decent but not amazing for a tank. However, when you add in bonuses from defensive fighting and your spells, your AC should make it into the... If you get the Holy Scabbard Eridan's Wrath, then you can add your Smite Evil AC bonus as a sacred bonus instead of a deflection bonus, which should bring your AC up to 60 with the stats I have showing here. Unfortunately, I can't remember where I found Eridan's Wrath, and scouring Google and some different forums didn't turn up any results. So if you know where to find Eridan's Wrath, please let us know down in the comments. Seelah's flat-footed AC is 44 and her touch AC is 20, which is pretty good for wearing heavy armor. Seelah's saves are Fortitude 30, Reflex 21, and Will 27. The Reflex save is a little low for core difficulty, but should be fine for daring or lower difficulties. If you are playing on core difficulty with this build, you should prioritize killing or disabling enemies that are using powerful spells and abilities that require a reflex saving throw. A lot of these are directional attacks. And bonus tip, if you position Seelah so that enemies have to turn away from the rest of your party to hit her, you can avoid a lot of the damage to the rest of your party from these directional attacks. The last thing that I want to go over here is Seelah's skill point allocation. This is what it should look like without buffs from equipment or spells. Persuasion and athletics should be much higher once you factor those things in. The only thing here that is essential is the 3 points into mobility, which gives us a +1 bonus to our AC when fighting defensively. If your party includes someone with a higher persuasion bonus or athletics bonus, but you don't have anyone with a decent knowledge world check or use magic device check or whatever, then you can adjust Seelah's skill point allocation accordingly to fit your party's needs. I would keep perception the same since everyone in the party gets a perception check, and the more party members that you have with high perception, the less likely you are to miss hidden items. But perception isn't necessary either, so that's up to you. Here's the spreadsheet for this build. You can see here that the levels are on the left side and the columns cover all of the different choices that you'll have to make while building Seelah according to this guide. The only thing here that might be confusing is the skill point allocation. ATH stands for athletics, MOB stands for mobility, PERC stands for perception, and PERS is persuasion. The numbers after the abbreviations are, of course, how many points that skill gets at that level. And on the far right, you'll see the Mythic Abilities and Mythic Feats that should be chosen at each Mythic rank. Okay, I think that this is pretty easy to understand, and I really hope that this spreadsheet helps you out. I just want to wrap this up by saying that there are multiple ways you can easily make a tank with a much higher AC than Seelah has here. Heck, just by making your main character an ASMR with 13 intelligence, you would be able to get an additional 8 AC just from 2 feats. Or you could grab a few levels in multiple classes and get an even bigger bonus to AC than that. And from what I've read, there are actually bugs in the game that you can exploit to get your AC to truly broken levels. But I wanted to make a Seelah tank guide that isn't a copy of what others have made so far, and that takes the role-playing aspects of the game seriously. A guide that doesn't involve using bugs or exploiting the system in ways that may be possible, but certainly don't make any sense. I haven't seen any other builds like this one out there, so I think that I achieved my goal for originality, and I know that this build works, at least up to core difficulty, since I have been playing it for days. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you decide to model Seelah after this build, be sure to come back and let us know how it worked out for you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. I really do appreciate it. This has been Chris with Lore Spire. Be well, my friends.